we are getting ready for something quite different now, and I'm joined by Jason Dienhart, who will help us along in learning about what is called time attack. Now, this is something that began in Japan, and I have to be honest, I have not seen a lot of time attack, but I've kind of read up on it a little bit and get the idea. I love the idea, I love the concept. Tell us, first of all, Jason, it's sort of, like I said, it's beginnings back in Japan. How did this all come to be?
It was a couple magazine groups out there, a magazine group that put together an event. And it was really about tuning shops out there taking, VIN number production-based cars that anybody can drive that people would like to modify in the different levels of a circuit race car and whatnot. But of course, with it starting out as a production-based car, there's some limitations and whatnot. And it caught on as a way for tuning houses like HKS Performance, Trust, Gretty, to show what they can do, their expertise. A lot of Mitsubishi Evos, Subarus, Nissan Skylines, obviously heavy, Japanese cars. And that was late 90s that was going on, early 2000s. I was happened to be working at Super Street magazine, which was a big tuning magazine for a long time, from around the year 2000 to 2006. Around 2004, John the Dairy, who was the editor at that time of the magazines, has gone on to do many different things. It was his idea. He said, hey, I want to start throwing a time attack in the United States. Long story short, we picked Buttonwillow because it was close from our offices in downtown Los Angeles. Challenging course. There's not a lot of facility there, but the circuit is challenging and fun. And we started throwing a time attack there under a Super Street and called it Super Lap Battle back in 2004. And we just did it once a year. It was an editorial thing just to produce content for the magazine. And it started to catch on to where we started latching on to different NASA and SCCA events around the country and buying some time from them to have a group or two. Back in 2010, I launched Global Time Attack with a friend of mine, Christian Rado, who was a time attack driver and used to be a drag racer. And that was however many years ago, 11, 12 years ago. And we've just been building the scene and building the series slowly. It's about cars, competing for the fastest lap time. That's basically what they're doing. They're not racing for checker. The other thing is that the rules are very relaxed in order to encourage, innovation. And you could see as the car on the screen right now, if everybody's looking at it, which is really great because Subaru Motorsports of USA is behind that car right there. So it's always great when you see a manufacturer get involved. I was going to say, I get the idea now. Driving it. If I'm going to put my car in, I'm going to get a Formula One driver to drive it, and that's what's doing it. Scott Speed, of course. That's another thing too. We look at it as a team sport, a little bit like rally racing. So you do have a lot of people that will build a car, and they'll work with someone that maybe tunes the car, and then they'll work with someone else that drives the car. So this is kind of a good representation of that. And if you look at the big arrow on the car, that car fits in what we call our unlimited class, which is what your wildest class is for the production-based traditional time attack cars. And
Subaru have made this car absolutely for tarmac and absolutely for speed. This was designed 670 brake horsepower, 2-liter engine, Scott Speed at the wheel, multiple rallycross and ex-Formula One driver, ex-Formula E winner. I mean, you name it, he's done it. And the perfect guy to run this because he's part of Subaru, as is Travis Pastrana, but we've got all sorts of cars and trucks, I may add, out there.
Yes, we were really stoked to be able to have Kevin Phillips join us. He's from Oregon, and we met him about 4 years ago up at the Ridge Motorsports Park. We throw an event up there each year, and his truck was pretty mild. He ended up taking it to Riley Starr, who's a local around this area, who's a great fabricator, and he really time attacked that truck out. So now that truck is in the unlimited class, so it's the same class as the Subaru. So you could see, the big wing, the arrow, flat bottom, diffusers, racing slicks. They're allowed to run. I think he's probably on Hoosiers. I know Scott's on Yokohamas, as we see him go around the circuit right now. Full cage, the unlimited builds are basically race cars. But again, they started out as production-based cars. That's kind of the leveling field that we use. So yeah, you get a variety. You know, you'll have somebody like Kevin in the truck competing against someone like Scott here in the all-wheel drive Subaru. It's kind of like an old school, cage fight where, you know, what's your discipline? You're a karate master. I'm a kung fu guy. You know, and you just see how these people fare up against each other.
Well, give me some nuance. So obviously they're attacking each lap. It's a race against the clock, but it's a race against the opponents and the clock.
Yes.
So precision is everything. But at the same time, this seems to me more like a tuner's field where you would fettle the car each and every hour that you go out, or each and every time you go out on the track, to try to just get something a bit more that gives you half a tenth here, half a tenth there, maybe just that outright time, right?
It's a little bit of a chess game, you know, where, you know, you got to plan your next move. The way that we traditionally do it and the way that it's working out this weekend is, you know, we normally have 15 or 20-minute sessions or heats, whatever you want to call them. We call them sessions. They normally get 3 to 4 of those a day. Okay. Most of the competitions are 2 days, so you're normally getting 6 to 8 cracks at it, 6 to 8 15-minute sessions over a competition over a weekend. So depending upon weather, depending upon how your car deals with certain weather, depending upon, you know, do you know the track already, or can you just go out there and do it, you know, in the morning time when you think it's going to be the best, or your car runs better with more heat? So everybody's doing it at a different time, you know, so that also makes it interesting because we'll put anywhere from 12 to 16 cars in one session, and we will release them by speed index.
Okay.
So, you know, theoretically, we're trying to help them out, you know, to where they shouldn't be having to pass each other. But of course, if Scott decides that he wants to do an extra warm-up lap before going for a hot lap, the guy behind him might be ready for his hot lap now. So there is some etiquette there, you know, where they do need to play nice with each other somewhat, and that's something that we have to watch out for. If someone's not paying attention to their rearview mirror and not letting someone pass them, then we'll black flag them, pull them in, talk to them, and if it becomes excessive, we'll pull them from the session.
Now, this Mercedes looks ominous, an absolute race car.
Definitely, you know, and that's another representation of what we call our GTX class. So I've mentioned heavily many times before that, you know, a traditional time attack car was VIN numbered production-based car, not a race car. This is obviously a race car. Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3. James Kirkham driving it of Race Service. We opened this class up because once we started doing an event every April at COTA in Austin, Texas. Yep. That's our pinnacle. That's our big event that we do, and it started attracting people that said, "Hey, I'd love to uncork my race car and see what I can do in a time attack format." So we started getting so many of them that we ended up creating a class just for those race cars. Yes, so that's what GTX is.
So let me ask you this. I mean, I'm now getting sneaky. My motor racing mind is ticking.
Yes.
So what about fuels? What can you do? What can you do to get that advantage? What sort of games do people play to try to get that fastest time?
You know, so if we're talking about just, you know, the unlimited class, fuel's pretty open in it. When you're talking about, let's say, some of the lower classes like limited class, or we do have a street class competitor here that we haven't seen on screen yet, but it's a red BMW. His name is Gary Peterson. And it's a pretty good example of a car that I believe he drove here to the track. You know, it's not a trailer queen. So he's more limited. He has to use unleaded fuel. So even if it's race gas, it's got to be unleaded race gas. So, of course, you know, some people will try to cheat the system, you know, so we've got to be really wise and good with our scrutiny.
I don't like using that word. Motor racing is all about finding the advantage.
Finding the advantage. Correct. Correct. These guys are no
sometimes
different.
if that falls foul of the rules, well, the rules are there to be, you know,
it's our job as the organizers to catch people trying to take advantage.
No, but come on, let's be serious. I mean, you're right. The rules of motor racing are such, but the game of motor racing is all about pushing those rules to the limit. And time attack has its own way, just like any other form of motorsport.
It does. You know, these people rely on their data, you know, heavily. You know, the minute that they get out of these cars, they're going over it. They're finding out where they can find more time on the track. You know, a lot of times they will bring their engine or their computer tuners with them to look over the data and maybe make adjustments depending upon, you know, how the car is reacting, you know, in the elements here.
That truck looks planted, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. The great thing about Kevin here is that, like I said, we've kind of watched this car grow up over the last, like, 3 or 4 seasons. And this season, 2024, he's really, you know, knocked some time off
Yeah.
at some of the events to where, he podiumed, and, I thought he was definitely worthy to come out. And he'll probably be on the slower end of the group here today that we've got. But, not everybody's first. It's a lovely car. It's a great representation of somebody going wild with a time attack build with a car that they love.
Yeah, no question. And of course, you mentioned something there. A lot of the time you're racing against yourself because you just want to improve. Perhaps your time from racing Sonoma before,
right,
or you're looking to get a better top speed or a little bit better cornering and so on and so forth. So a lot of the time you may not be even thinking about who you're trying to beat. You're just thinking about trying to beat yourself.
You're spot on. And the thing is that these cars and trucks are, they're never done.
Yeah.
So they're always looking for more time. They're always looking for a way to improve it. It's always a work in progress. So it's just always work. I mean this in an endearing way, and I say it to them. But time attack's really like, it's an engineer nerd sport, because it takes absolutely everything on point 100% for you to get a perfect lap. And is there really even a perfect lap out there? But that's what they're chasing. They're chasing a perfect lap.
Here's your BMW.
Yes, Robert Robles, Studio RSR. So the green...
now, what's a Studio RSR?
That's the name of his tuning shop.
Okay.
Studio RSR. So the green windshield banner, Global Time Attack windshield banner there, means that he's in the street class.
Okay.
So our enthusiast class is yellow, street is green, limited is blue, black is unlimited.
I see.
So I went by the kind of karate belt colors, you know what I mean? And it's also a thing for fans, We talked about, this car here, green windshield banner street class. You could tell he doesn't have as big of a wing as Scott Speed does in the unlimited class. He doesn't have a flat bottom that we can't see, but he doesn't have. He doesn't have a big diffuser in the back. So he's limited on his tires, size, and stickiness, and he's also limited on the amount of aero that he could apply to the car. Those are some of the simple ways to look at how we differentiate between the classes.
You're listening to Jason Dienhart, who is part of the Global Time Attack, and that's what's on track at the moment. And we'll be watching them all through the weekend, a big part of the event this year. We're all learning it for the first time and really enjoying what this is. Subaru have come to play and play hard and fast with Scott Speed. And talking of hard and fast, let's head down to my one and only Kev, who's down there in the middle of the paddock. What have you got, Kev?